even know what my first sentence should be. I don't even know. Writing coherently. I get papers that I'm like, I just had them write an essay on Gattaca. We watched Gattaca after the ACT. And I got these essays back and I was like, oh no. This is one sentence and it was like 2 paragraphs long, which is one sentence. And I was like, oh God, I don't even know. Like, I need to breathe. I haven't breathed. So how do we get them to write coherently? And construct a complete lab report. Well, step 1, give them separate rubrics. So if you flip over the paper I first handed out to you to do your do now on, it's actually my conclusion of my lab report. And if you guys want, I can send you, I have these rubrics for all of my lab writing. But I just picked the conclusion because it's the end and the biggest part. So I just picked that one so I could go over it. But I have it for the introduction and I have this for the materials and methods.
Can I grab one?
Sure. I have it for the materials and methods. Urban Prep loves the crest, so you know, you can always just remove that. But essentially, not only do I have the rubric, I have examples in the rubric of what to use this with. And what's cool about West Campus is last year we made these together. And so Mr. Chen used this rubric, who was the chemistry teacher before, and I have his kids now. And now I have the same rubric, right? So we broke it up, and even if you sit as a science team and you decide to do this with your people at your school, just sit down and be like, all right, I'll do the discussion rubric, you do the intro rubric, you do, right? And so that when kids go grade to grade, they don't get to me junior year and they're like, what? What's a lab report? You're all on the same page, and it's really gone well. Because I taught the same kids I have juniors now, their freshman year, and I wish I had had these rubrics. Because that's a whole year we wasted getting them ready to produce a great lab report by the time they exit Urban Prep, which is eventually, obviously, the end goal. Okay? The next thing about this, too, is rubrics make it clear for all kids. But, that being said, too, how do we make it so all kids can succeed here? And there's other things I do. So first off, give them separate sections. That's important. If you give them all one rubric, they can get really overwhelmed. Do it section by section and get drafts back. It's okay to take some extra time to to write and to have the kids being writing. And to also, it's definitely okay to put this together over a period of time. So you do the intro, and then you build up, and then they have a completed lab report at the end. They don't even realize it. Sentence starters. This is where I've had my most success. So, I just put the do now at the top because this was actually something they picked up on their way into my classroom one day. But they struggle with personal pronouns, so why not give them sentence starters and allow them to do it? Well, and then on the back, they can write their own sentences that correspond. Okay? So you walk them through. Okay. They should have already formulated these, right? When they were doing the lab, they had already formulated these. But they also...
Sorry, one in a row.
You're good. Come on in. But as we go through, you can come sit right over here if you want.
I can do that. That's much fun.
Now, the one thing I would note, for the sake of paper, I just double-sided these. Don't double-side this, because then the kids are just flipping back and forth, and it's really hard for them. So just print this on one side and this on the other, and it really makes it much easier for your kids to just transcribe what they want to say. Be careful. You will get the kid that will rewrite the sentence stem, put a period at it, then rewrite the next sentence stem, put a period at the end. So definitely read what you're getting here. And then at the end, they put it all together into paragraph form. So I find that with my freshman class, they all benefited from the sentence starters. I still use the sentence starters with some of my most of my juniors, a big chunk of my probably half of them. My honors class is probably the only class that could do this without the sentence starters at this point, because the use of the personal pronoun is so difficult for them to get started. You're not going to have the kid sitting there not doing anything because he doesn't know what's going on. It eliminates that behavior issue you can have. Is there any questions about that? Here you go. Okay, now let's move on to tests. That wasn't supposed to pop up all at once, but we're working on it. So there's a couple ways I modify tests. I break down questions into multiple parts. I bold and underline keywords and directions. I include equation triangles. What do you guys teach?
Biology.
Biology? Chemistry? So you might have an equation triangle you might need. I'm not sure.
I don't know what an
That's like
equation
the
triangle
one
is.
subject I have not taught and never want to. But equation triangles are key. I'll show you them just in case you can get moved around here real quick. And removal of an answer choice, which is just super simple. Take one away. There are also ways I modify the environment. Now, if you don't have a great classroom culture, do not hand the kid who taps on the desk silly putty, because it will end up hitting the kid who's doing the test with the silly putty. But silly putty has really helped me for my kids that are what are you doing? He's trying to read, and he's too busy, jamming to the beat. And so silly putty's done a lot of really good things for me, but you also have to have the classroom culture in your classroom that is conducive for giving a child silly putty and it not ending up on your forehead. And then read out loud. I encourage all my kids to read out loud. Now, there's a difference between reading out loud and being like, hey man, what's the answer to number 2, right? So if you know that a kid is a person that reads out loud, I have one kid, he's not special ed at all, but this helps for special ed kids as well. He sits in the corner of my room and reads his tests out loud. He looks like a crazy person because he's talking to himself, but no one bothers him and he gets really great grades. And so, encourage that. If that's something that helps them, listening to themselves say it or hear it, that's something they can do. I know I've also separated kids and had my co-teacher reading to them, and it doesn't hurt to reread things out loud for any kids, right? So that's also something we don't think about doing. And also, I'm really big on no kid knows if they get the modified exam or not. I don't like to put the word modified on. I don't like to put the word accommodate. And I carry around one stack of tests. This sounds weird. Carry around one stack of tests. Modified are on the bottom, regular on the top. And I just, as I'm going, I'll just grab from the bottom or grab from the top. And that way, you're not calling, kids don't feel like they're getting something different. Now, I also love to catch cheaters, and I have tables, so I also just do random versions of tests anyway. So, if I'm feeling particularly ambitious, I mix up test questions. But, and the important part is that kids who are getting the accommodations and the modifications aren't being called out for that and aren't feeling singled out for that. So just go over this real quick. Break down the questions into multiple parts. I don't know if you guys can see this. I didn't print this one out for you, but this is what I did. This is my Punnett square test. And genetics problems can be very confusing for our kids, so it's a step-by-step breakdown for them on that. And then this was a Punnett square problem. So again, chunking it, even chunking your test questions, having them do the step-by-step stuff. Bold and underline keywords. Greenberg was saying he does that already in his classroom. It's really simple. It's a really simple accommodation. It's really, really quick and easy to do. These are the equation triangles I was talking about. If you cover up, so distance, right, equals speed times time. So if you cover up the d, you got the speed and times the time. If you cover up the t down here, you got the distance divided by speed. See, it gives you your equation based on what you cover up in the triangle. And so our kids who are really bad at algebra, or deriving what they need, okay, they shouldn't be held back in physics because of that. They should just be able to still use the numbers to figure out what they need. And so I found that the equation triangles are very, very good. Remove an answer choice, so it is 14 if you wanted to know.
School yeah, regular days, not school days.
14 regular days till that glorious spring break. We're almost out of the hellhole we call March. Which I think is worse than October, so I'm just gonna let you know that. I will give you that on that. But just crossing out an answer choice. We have a program called Mastery Manager, so I'm more frequently, just eliminating an answer choice and keeping them labeled the same so I can still have the same answer key. It's really easy.
You can do that on Mastery Manager?
I can show you Mastery Manager after this. Okay. I'm like a resident expert on that. And then environment modifications. So obviously pulling out of the classroom, don't be afraid. If their IEP tells you to have them take their test in a separate area, now let me be really clear. If you are like me and have anchor charts all over your room that help all kids, the kids with accommodations and modifications deserve those anchor charts too. So you should take pictures of them, put them in PowerPoint and print them out. It takes like 15 minutes, but those kids are more willing to take their accommodations and modifications knowing that they have those things.